January 24th, 2023. 2023 Doomsday Clock announcement. This year, the Science and Security Board of the Bulletin of Atomic Scientist moves the hands of the Doomsday Clock forward, largely, but not exclusively, due to the mounting dangers of the war in Ukraine. The clock now stands at 90 seconds to midnight, the closest it's ever been to global catastrophe. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the Doomsday Clock, which is meant to represent how close humanity is from a self-created global catastrophe that changes the world forever. The Doomsday Clock is a symbolic representation of the likelihood of global catastrophe, focusing on three types: nuclear war, global climate change, and disruptive technologies. Mostly focus on biological technologies, so the closer you are to midnight, the greater the perceived risk. And the further away you are from midnight, the more peaceful and stable global affairs are. So during periods of high tension in the 1950s during the Cold War, it was moved closer to midnight. During periods of relative stability, where it was thought that there was a lower probability of war between the United States and the Soviet Union, such as in 1963 after the Cuban Missile Crisis, it was created by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientist in 1947 and is currently set to 90 seconds to midnight, the closest it's ever been to midnight. The clock is adjusted each year based on the scientists' assessments of current global events and the threat they pose to humanity. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientist is a non-profit organization formed in 1945 by scientists who helped form the first atomic weapons in the Manhattan Project. In keeping with the trend of scientists like Oppenheimer and Einstein that came out publicly to warn the world of the dangers of atomic weapons. Oppenheimer, as he witnessed the first detonation of a nuclear weapon on July 16, 1945, a piece of Hindu scripture ran through his mind: "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The organization's mission is to educate the public about the dangers of nuclear weapons, other weapons of mass destruction, and emerging technologies that could pose a threat to humanity. The organization is best known for publishing the Doomsday Clock. The Ukraine War is the largest conflict in decades, where so much modern armament has disrupted the long-standing Pax Americana from the post-World War II era, and the law-based international order observed in most of the Western world for the last 70-odd years. The term Pax Americana is used to allude to a post-war era of relative stability where few wars were fought by near peers that required total war and mobilization. The Ukraine War is unparalleled in modern times in terms of armor, artillery, military equipment, and the scale of mobilization, not to mention the humanitarian catastrophe and the extensive war crimes committed. In the last 10 years since 2012, the clock has only moved forward from 5 minutes to midnight to 90 seconds to midnight in the most recent adjustment. This is done to reflect what scientists around the world see as a new threat to global stability and peace, and that is global climate change. In the second half of the 21st century, the Doomsday Clock and the time to midnight is likely to be dominated by global instability driven by climate catastrophe. As the environment destabilizes and becomes more extreme, it would lead to more crop failures, disruptions, mass migrations, natural disasters, all of which will lead to more civil and international strife. Note, my experience is in science and academia. This is just my opinion, but there is no question about the human role in climate change. There is nearly global consensus among the world's community of scientists that this is in fact happening and is driven by increased concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Anything else is simply distortion of what is global scientific consensus. The Earth's average temperature has risen by approximately 1.2 degrees Celsius, 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit, since the late 19th century due to human activities, primarily the burning of fossil fuels, which releases large amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This warming trend is projected to continue and accelerate unless significant action is taken to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. The United States has historically contributed the most CO2 to the atmosphere, and China is currently the largest polluter, putting the most tonnage of CO2 annually into the atmosphere. The goal of the Paris Agreement, which was signed by nearly 200 countries, is to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels is considered to be the tipping point. This is the point where non-linear systems kick in, releasing more CO2 in the atmosphere, creating runaway effects in climate change. The tipping point is the point of no return, beyond which the effects of global warming become irreversible for the next few lifetimes. Many scientists believe that if global temperatures rise more than 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, it will trigger a cascade of events that will result in widespread and long-lasting impacts, such as the melting of the polar ice caps, rising sea levels, and more frequent and intense extreme weather events. I encourage you to do your own research, be skeptical of talking points, and listen to the experts. The global community of scientists is trying to warn the world about what's coming with the climate for a reason. The evidence is unanimous. Be wary of people that try to tell you to not look at the evidence. I know the topics in this video are grim, but thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourself and be well. I'm sure that if I tag this video with climate change, YouTube will be providing resources that are well sourced. Please take a look at them.